Now, President Joe Biden and other former presidents and former first ladies are also sharing their praise of Mrs. Carter for her grace and tenacity as a champion for destigmatizing mental health. 11 Alive's Christy Diaz went to the Carter Center to learn more about that aspect of her life.
For a woman with many legacies, her advocacy for mental health is one of her greatest. It's a cause that mattered to her deeply, even decades before she and President Carter entered the White House. It takes a special person to tackle an issue shrouded in shame and stigma. But 50 years ago, Rosalynn Carter brought mental health out of the shadows and into boardrooms and government chambers and kitchen tables.
She's put her name next to this population in a way that creates a visibility that otherwise wouldn't exist.
Many of the services and legislation of present day are available because of Mrs. Carter's relentless fight. She co-founded the Carter Center, which has a mental health branch, created a mental health journalism fellowship to train journalists how to accurately and sensitively report on mental health. She testified before the Senate, worked on the Georgia Mental Health Parity Act, and founded the Rosalynn Carter Institute for Caregivers on the campus of Georgia Southwestern, where Mrs. Carter went to school. The institute was created in 1987, but the seed to help was planted more than 20 years earlier when Jimmy was running for governor. And Mrs. Carter kept getting the same question about mental health.
What's the president going to do? What's the president going to do? So she decided to get herself into the line, the meet and greet line for the president, reach out to shake his hand and ask him what he's going to do about mental health.
Well, he reached for my hand before he knew who I was. And he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I want to know what you're going to do for people with mental illnesses when you're governor of Georgia."
Reportedly, didn't he say something like, "I'm going to put you in charge of it"? That's right, that's right.
And he did. From the governor's mansion to the White House, Mrs. Carter led commissions and championed the fight, writing several books on the issue, while his wife provided the face and voice for the mission of supporting mental health and later caregivers. The former president became a quiet ally, relishing the role of supportive husband to tackle the issue together.
There's just a commitment to whatever cause they have put their name to for it to move forward. And you, as a participant in that, just feel like you've got to keep it going.
Sometimes the obvious thing is where Mrs. Carter thrived, turning common sense humanity into a lifelong mission and a legacy to be continued. I know about the work of the Rosalynn Carter Institute for Caregivers because I myself became a caregiver for my father after a diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's. My father finished his battle with dementia about 3 years ago, but now the foundation that bears his name partners with the Institute in efforts to raise money to promote caregiver health, strength, and resilience. And in several conversations with the CEO, Dr. Olson, she says she is committed to both preserving and continuing Mrs. Carter's legacy.
Our Christy Diaz reporting there, and we know a lot of you would like to share your messages too with the Carter family. And to get a link to the tribute site, text the word Carter to the number on your screen. That's 404-885-7600. The link also includes additional details about services for Mrs. Carter next week.